welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Today we have the IntelliDocs Tech demo, how to power AI document processing. Yeah, the power of AI document processing. So your speakers for today, myself, Thiago Carlucci. I am the head of global campaign marketing for Electronic. It's a pleasure to be here with you once again today. And we have also our guest speaker, Ivan Ramos, our sales engineer, who is going to give us the tour, give us the tech demo on IntelliDocs. Okay. Before I start, quick housekeeping notes. Make sure that you drop your questions on either the Q&A or the chat that you have there. So we take some questions at the end. I'm going to do a brief introduction. Ivan is going to demo the IntelliDocs, and then we'll take the questions at the end. Okay. All right. Are you ready to discover how IntelliDocs works? So without further ado, getting started here, guys. IntelliDocs is a document processing technology using AI. Okay. You have your own API for document processing. You can automatically recognize document type and extract data, automatically enter data in any system using RPA bots. So only basic technical skills required to set up, not complex at all. You can have 26 different document categories, 79 different languages as recognition capability, and 900 plus document models. So a very robust capability package that we have in the IntelliDocs. Monetization potential: create your own subscription plan for your clients, save your client time on document data extraction and manual review, and save your client time on document data entry in web forms, Excel reports, legacy software, etc. So we have a very interesting monetization potential for MSPs and IT service providers working with document processing. Yeah, and in the Electronics supported document types, finance, so invoices, receipts, checks, debit and credit cards, remittance, and so on. Identification: driver's license, passports, visas, license plates, vehicle registrations, social security cards, immigration documents, and so on. And other stuff, COVID-19 cards, healthcare forms, NICSI labels, ship containers, accord forms, and more. So there is a plethora of different document types that IntelliDocs supports. Okay. And in terms of feature file types, dozens of image and file formats, including PDF, JPEG, PNG, and so on. Yeah. In terms of processing, barcodes, watermarks, handwriting, signatures, and tables. One of the best handwriting capabilities, by the way, in the market today. And it is a part of our automation hub. So the Electronic platform has the hub architecture where we have automation hub, business hub, and service hub. The automation hub being our development environment, and IntelliDocs is an integrated part of our automation hub. And Ivan will show us a little bit more how that works. So Ivan, I give you the floor. Please take us on that journey.
Right. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Just like Thiago mentioned, don't forget to ask questions in the Q&A and in the chat, and we will be answering those later. So in this demo, I will be showing you how to set up, first, how to locate IntelliDocs within the account portal and how to set it up. We will be generating a document stream, and I will be explaining what that is and how to use it. We'll integrate that within an RPA bot, and we will also see some examples of some bots using IntelliDocs. Right, so first, we are now within our account portal, and just like Thiago mentioned, IntelliDocs is located within the automation hub. So we can click this module right here and get access to IntelliDocs. As you can see, here you can manage your existing document streams as well as add new ones. A document stream is basically a dedicated API key that can be set up with its own name and its page count limit. This will allow you to give your customers individual access to IntelliDocs and also manage their page count limits independently without needing to share API keys between them. So now we can add a new document stream. As you can see, we have some document streams for customer A and customer B. So let's now add customer C. just like this. And we will need to set up a page limit. In this case, let's just say that it's 2000. That's all we need to do. Now we just need to click save. And now the document stream has been created. Now, in order to use this document stream within an RPA bot, we need to copy this API key by clicking the copy API key to clipboard button right here. You also have other options like editing the names and the limits of the document streams. You can also activate and deactivate them, and of course, delete them. So now I will jump over to Studio Pro, the development environment of the Electronic platform, and I will now show you how you can use this IntelliDocs document stream within an RPA bot. So first, we need to set up that API key as a credential. So in order to do that, we need to go over to the settings section, credential management, and we need to make sure to create a credential for IntelliDocs. So in this case, I have this one. I will delete it for a second here so I can show you exactly how to create it again. You just need to click on the add login and password button. You just assign a name, for example, IntelliDocs, and paste the API key onto the password field. The login field will not be used in the IntelliDocs activity, but so you can set anything here, for example, API key. Now, by clicking add, I have now added this document streams API key to the credentials, and I am now ready to integrate that document stream into my bot. So in this particular case, I will be extracting data and recognizing the model of this particular document right here. As you can see, it's a restaurant receipt from Applebee's. And in this case, as you can see, the quality is not ideal. And, there's some data that is maybe not the best for extraction, but IntelliDocs will successfully not only recognize the format, but also extract its data. So that's what we will do right now. So in order to use IntelliDocs within Studio Pro, we need to navigate over to activities. On the document processing section, we have a subsection called IntelliDocs. And inside that subsection, we have an activity called extract document data. So we will drag that over to our workflow, to our canvas. And as you can see, our activity has been added. So the first property that we need to set up for that activity is the API key. And we need to select the credential that we just set up previously. So in this case, I will search for that credential and select it right here. You also have the ability to process local documents as well as online documents. So if you're going to process a document that is on a URL, you would select the URL option and set up that URL in the path section right here. But if you're using a local file, like in our example, you just need to keep the path option selected, and I can now select the path to a file. So in my case, it will be this one. And while IntelliDocs will automatically detect that this is a receipt, you also have the ability to specify the model type for IntelliDocs to process the document with it right here in the model type property. And there's a full list of the model types that are available within the documentation of IntelliDocs. In this example, we'll just leave it blank. The next activity will save the value to a variable called IntelliDocs OCR content, and we will quickly add a user notification activity to show this result on screen. So we will use this same variable to show the result of the extraction in a message. Right, and that's how easy it is to set up a bot to use IntelliDocs. I will now just run this quickly so I can show you the results. Execution will be very quick because all it needs to do is just locate the file, send it over to the IntelliDocs API, and then process it. And as you can see, here we have the full result. The first few fields here are the model. As you can see, it has automatically identified that this is a receipt and specifically located it as a US receipt. There are many different model types that are specific to certain countries. And in this case, this has detected that is for the US or for North America at least. And then below, we have all the fields that have been extracted for this particular document type. So as you can see, we have company name, for example, Applebee's, we have company address, and many other fields such as the amounts, phone number, date, and many, many other fields. Basically, every single field that has been found, whether it's a unique field or within a table, will be extracted and will be given as its own field right here. You even get the full OCR text of the document, just like a traditional OCR engine would give you, as its own property right here, and even some values that will tell you about the quality of the document, such as if it's glare-free and if it is in focus. Right, so that's how simple it is to set up IntelliDocs and integrate it with RPA bots in Electronic. Now we will see 3 examples of electronic workflows that use IntelliDocs for processing different types of documents. These examples are actually available as recipes, and we will see them later within the platform. Right, so this first bot will process 2 different types of documents, invoices and driver's licenses. IntelliDocs will automatically recognize which documents and will recognize which are invoices and which ones are driver licenses. And depending on each one, it will extract different data, of course. And then it will send emails depending on the format of each document. So we can now see right here the documents that will be extracted. Some are invoices and some are driver licenses. Then the extraction occurs right here, as just like we just showed. It's a very quick extraction. And at the end, we can see the different emails being sent for different types of documents. So for invoices, we have fields like company name, invoice number, invoice date, taxes, and total. And for driver licenses, there's completely different values like the date of birth, the license number, the issue date, and the expiration date, of course. Right. Then the second bot will work with restaurant receipts like the one we just saw, but there will be a large variety of them and even different languages. IntelliDocs will correctly identify that they all belong to the same type of document, which is receipts. And because of that, it will automatically return the same types of fields for all of them, and it will make extraction very, very simple. Then those values will be put into a spreadsheet. So here we can see the different receipts. Right? As you can see, they're different sizes, different companies, different qualities, and even different languages. And once the execution has happened, we can see that an email has been sent with a spreadsheet that shows the results for every single one of those documents, including the date, the amount, and so on, and the name of the company, of course. And then this third bot will classify and process different utility bills from different types of utilities. For example, we will have an energy bill, an internet bill, a phone bill, and a water bill. And IntelliDocs will automatically classify them and detect which one is which, and it will extract also its fields. In this case, we will write into a spreadsheet not only which type of utility it belongs to, but also the amount of the bill, and also a path to the original file. So you can see the bills right there. This one for energy, internet, phone, and water. And after the extraction, this is what the result will look like. So you can see it's an Excel file with the type of utility and the total amount right next to them, as well as the file name of the original file, of course. Right. So these are just 3 quick examples of how RPA bots can leverage IntelliDocs to perform intelligent document recognition and extraction with a very, very quick and very easy setup required beforehand, which is the one that I just showed you. These examples, by the way, are all available as recipes within the Electronic platform. If you go over to the Automation Hub, you also have a section called Recipes, which includes pre-made use cases that not only will you can see it's the demos just like we saw just now, you will also see and get access to step-by-step full guides on how to recreate these workflows, just like the ones we saw here. And there's also even an additional one for a vehicle insurance card for those type of documents. And we will be constantly adding new recipes as well. So you can very easily go into one of these recipes, just review quickly what they're about, watch the same demo that we just saw, and review a step-by-step guide on how to create it, including a video which will guide you through the creation of that same workflow on a step-by-step basis. Right, so that's everything about this demo. So I believe we can now jump into any questions and any other doubts that we might have had in the Q&A and the chat.
So first question that we have is, can we add multiple model types in the property sections of IntelliDocs activity?
Right. Yes, actually, as a matter of fact, that's a great question. You can add an array of document types, and each one of those document types is considered, and the one that will be extracted, that will be used for the extraction, would actually be the one that IntelliDocs considers with the highest percentage of confidence. So it will try all of the ones that you give it, and it will then use the one that considers the best one out of those. Yes.
Okay, which document type to be selected when using it for utility bills?
Right, so you can review the full list of model types within our documentation. And if you, at some point, you don't know the exact document type, or you don't want to look into the documentation for the full list because it's quite long, what you can do is you can put one document as a test, and then run the IntelliDocs extraction, and you will see which model type has been automatically identified for it, just like we saw just now with the receipt. And then you could use that same model type, the same model value that you just saw in the extraction. You can use that as the model type, and then automatically it will use that every time. And you can, of course, just rely on the automatic recognition for that IntelliDocs does. But if you want to just make sure that it's always using the same one, you can, of course, do it by inputting that. I would recommend checking the full list within our documentation of model types, but also you can perform those types of tests and make sure to get the model type of the first document, and then you can apply to the rest of them as well.
Okay, we have also one question here in the chat. Is IntelliDocs able to recognize photos from documents or just text?
Right. There are certain types of images within documents that are also recognized. For example, signatures, faces are also recognized, stamps, logos, and depending on the image and depending on how prominent those images are within the original image, those will be extracted as well. And you can then, of course, grab that image and then run it through extraction, or maybe save it to a different location. But yes, if you need to extract different images from an image, that is also something that you can do depending on what the type of image is. So that is also very well detailed in our documentation as well, and it explains how you get the values returned when you get an image or a signature, for example, and you can review that and see exactly how you will get that return, so we can integrate it within your RPA workflow.
Okay, one last question that we have here is, what can it do with signatures?
Right, so IntelliDocs can extract signatures from a document, and it will give you a confidence percentage for them as well. And if it can detect, if it has the ability to read the signature, it can even tell you what the signature says. Otherwise, it will fully extract it as an image, and you can save that image and then use it, for example, for record keeping, or maybe with another solution to compare that signature, or for any other purpose that you need that signature for. So it not only is it for written fields within a document, and not only, of course, printed written fields, but also handwriting. It will also detect when a signature is happening and extract it for you to use within your workflow as well.
Awesome. So here we have, sorry, it popped up a new one here on the Q&A. Is there any feature where I can train my own model and run it for the files?
Right. The models are preset. There is no ability at this point to generate your own models. So usually the included models will be able to cover most cases that you find. And even in the cases that a document does not fit, it's very rare, but if it does not fit into any of the pre-built and pre-trained model types, there is also a type of extraction called semantic extraction, which will extract the text of the document anyways, but it will use the same names of the fields as they are within the document. They will not be standard names that correspond to a document type, because in this case, no document type has been identified, but you will still get the full text and each field extracted. It will just be a more customized extraction for that document. So you can treat that as, in a way, you're training your own model, but with your specific type of document. But you cannot add model types to the existing ones already trained within IntelliDocs.
Okay, Ivo, we have a few more questions popping up here. Whether the user has the ability to correct characters, verification.
Right. If I understood correctly, that means if there is some one or two characters that are incorrectly extracted. So that will depend on what verification and validation rules you can apply to each field. So for example, if you know that a field is supposed to only be numbers and suddenly you see like an O, it's likely that that should be a 0, for example, and you could replace that very easily with a very, very quick rule. But in some cases, it will depend. You could check the confidence percentage, for example, that IntelliDocs gives you, and know if that confidence percentage is very high, then it's probably that document, have that information in it. But if it's lower, then you could rerun it, or you could try to improve the quality, or you could try to request a better quality version of the document, or simply process it manually. But in most cases, it will depend on each field and whether you already know what to expect from that field, so you can apply some rules to it. Or if in some cases, it might be related to the quality. Maybe the text is not being read correctly, so some characters are read incorrectly. But of course, once you get the values returned by IntelliDocs, you can use them. They're within variables, so you can use them within your workflow, correct them, clean them up, change them, replace values within them, just like you would with any other text that you extract from any other source within your workflow.
Okay, one more here about signatures. Again, IntelliDocs can validate if it's correct or not.
If you mean a signature matching, right now the IntelliDocs only supports signature extraction, and you would need to then match that with a certain data set. For example, if you have specific images or in other documents, what you could do is run both documents maybe with IntelliDocs and get the different signatures as images, and then perform the comparison between them with a different method. Right now, IntelliDocs supports those extractions, but it does not support the matching of those signatures at this moment.
Okay, next one. What is the licensing model like?
Right, so IntelliDocs is licensed by Pages. Our existing customers have a certain amount of pages that have been added to them, and new customers, depending on the package that they acquire, will have a different amount of pages, and then you can acquire new amounts of pages depending on the usage that you will have and your customers will have. And of course, the larger the packages of pages, the cheaper cost per page gets. And these pages do not expire, by the way. These are not other IDP vendors sometimes give you a certain amount of pages per month, for example, and those expire. In our case, these are consumable, so you use them as you need them. And those amount of pages will depend on the usage that you and your customers will have. And at this stage, IntelliDocs is only available for silver and gold partners, and the amount of pages that you get initially with the purchase depends on the subscription level as well.
Awesome. Last one here. How about handwritten? Can it be recognized? So I guess handwriting.
Yes.
Can we recognize handwriting?
Yes, handwriting is supported as well in all the languages that we mentioned as well. Of course, depending on the legibility of the handwriting, the IntelliDocs will be able to read it or not. Of course, usually the limits is if a human can read it, the bot will be able to read it. In some cases, the bot is better than us, but in some cases, if the text is completely illegible, or if it's very hard to understand, you might get some part of it extracted and some part not extracted. In any case, if the extraction is hard for IntelliDocs, it will let you know with a low confidence percentage that the extraction wasn't as successful, or that IntelliDocs is not confident enough in that extraction. So you can take that into account within your bot and say, okay, since the confidence is not high enough, then I will try manually, or I will try extracting data from other fields, or maybe improving quality, or trying to get a non-handwritten version of the document, but it can extract it. It will just depend, of course, on how legible it is.
Okay, we got one more in here. How do you differentiate from Abby solutions, similar or superior?
Right. So I can't speak specifically about each specific competitor, of course, but I know that there are some solutions that belong more into the traditional OCR spectrum, and basically that means grabbing an image and returning text from it, and then the classification of documents and the matching of specific fields within those documents is left for the humans. And that's not something that IntelliDocs does. IntelliDocs automatically recognizes and classifies the documents and automatically extracts and matches the fields to their respective values. So that is something that differentiates our solution to others in the market. Of course, I can't speak to specific competitors, and I believe that's also a discussion you can have while scanning. If you scan the QR code and have a demo with us, you can discuss specific use cases and maybe other experiences that you have had within the IDP space, and we can detect specific and discuss specific differences that that we have identified depending on your use cases. But yeah, I cannot go too much in depth into specific competitors right now and what each one of them can do or cannot do.
Okay, yeah, we keep getting questions coming in, guys. I really appreciate the questions. We will take these questions and we'll send you guys the answer to those questions. I want to take a couple of minutes here to comment about this QR code. Thank you, Eva, so much for answering all of those. Go ahead, guys, and scan this QR code and book a meeting today. We have our account executives standing by to give you a more one-to-one customized approach on how Electronic can support your business and how IntelliDocs can support your business. So make sure that you scan that QR code and book a meeting with us today. We have our people standing by ready to talk to you. Also, I want to ask you to, Carolina, if you could kindly drop in the chat the link to our next webinar. Will be actually tomorrow. It's about empowering RPA developers with GPT-4. So we have Dmitry Karpov, our co-founder and chief product officer, together with Conrado, which is our product owner, discussing how and showing how you can integrate Electronic with GPT-4 and how that will help developers moving forward. So make sure you also watch this webinar tomorrow. This is going to be pretty interesting. And I thank everybody, really appreciate everybody's time today. Thank you, Eva, so much for all of the information. And I think we are good to go. Yeah. So again, we will send answers to the additional questions that we had. Thank you, everybody, for participating, and we'll see you tomorrow in the webinar.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Thiago, as well.
Thank you. Bye.